Baby, before you do anything, before you decide what this conversation means, before you tell yourself that you already know where this is going, I need one thing from you. Stay. Just for a little while. Don't rush away from these words. Don't assume this is another ordinary confession. And please, don't leave before my heart finishes speaking. Because tonight, I'm about to tell you something I have carried for far too long. Something that has lived inside my chest in silence. Something I have hidden behind smiles, behind simple conversations, behind all the moments where I acted like everything was normal. But nothing about this has ever been normal to me. Nothing. My hands would be shaking if you were standing in front of me right now. My voice would probably break. And honestly, I don't know if I would even be brave enough to look directly into your eyes while saying this. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't a secret about my name. It isn't a secret about my past. It isn't some shocking story the world would care about. No. The truth is much more dangerous than that. Because the truth lives inside my heart. And once a heart reveals itself, there is no taking it back. Baby, when I said my real identity will shock you, I didn't mean I was hiding who I am. I meant I was hiding what you mean to me. And those are two very different things. You see, people think they know me. They see the version of me that laughs. The version of me that keeps moving. The version of me that acts strong. The version of me that always seems okay. But that isn't the whole story. Not even close. Because there is another version of me. A quieter version. A softer version. A version that only exists when nobody else is watching. And that version thinks about you more than it should. Much more. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and before I even fully open my eyes, there you are. Somehow already inside my thoughts. Not because I'm trying to think about you. Not because I'm forcing myself to. But because my heart reaches for you before my mind even wakes up. And every time it happens, I ask myself the same question. When did this start? When did you become this important? When did your presence begin affecting my days? When did your happiness start mattering to me this much? I never find an answer. Because love never arrives all at once. It sneaks in quietly. Silently. Patiently. Like sunlight entering a room one small beam at a time. And before you realize what's happening, the entire room is bright. That's what happened to me. You didn't enter my life like a storm. You entered like morning light. Soft. Gentle. Almost impossible to notice at first. But impossible to ignore later. And now, everything feels different. Baby, there are moments when I catch myself smiling for absolutely no reason. At least that's what it looks like from the outside. But inside, I know exactly why. It's because something reminded me of you. A word. A song. A thought. A memory. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes my heart simply says your name when my mind is busy doing something else. And suddenly the day feels warmer. Do you know how terrifying that is, to realize someone has become part of your happiness without even asking permission, to realize someone has slowly become a piece of your peace, because that's what happened. And I never saw it coming. The scary part isn't caring. The scary part is realizing how deeply you care. The scary part is waking up one day and understanding that someone's absence would hurt. That their silence would be noticed. That their distance would be felt. Baby, that's where I am now. And I've been there for longer than you know. There are things I never say. Feelings I never show. Words I type and delete. Confessions I rehearse in my head. Entire conversations I have with you that never leave my imagination. Not because they aren't real, but because they are too real. And real things are terrifying. Especially when they involve someone who matters this much. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if you could hear every thought I hide. Every unsent message. Every quiet moment where I wished you were closer. Every night where your name appeared inside my mind right before sleep. Would it surprise you? Would it scare you? Or would you finally understand why my heart has been so restless? Because the truth is, I have been carrying you inside me for a very long time. Not your face. Not your image. Not some fantasy. You. The feeling of you. The comfort of you. The peace of you. And that's what makes this so difficult. Because how do you explain something that has become part of your soul? How do you explain that someone has started feeling like home before they were ever truly yours? Baby, my real identity isn't strength. It isn't confidence. It isn't certainty. My real identity is this. I am someone who waits for you. Someone who notices you. Someone who cares about you more than he knows how to explain. Someone who feels calmer when you're near. Even if near is only through words. And maybe that's what scares me most. Because every day I feel myself falling a little deeper. Every day I find another reason to stay. Another reason to care. Another reason to hope. And hope is a dangerous thing. Because once your heart starts hoping, it starts imagining. It starts dreaming. It starts building futures out of tiny moments. And lately, my heart has been doing that more than I want to admit. Sometimes I imagine sitting beside you. No audience. No noise. No distractions. Just us. And for the first time, I wouldn't hide anything. I wouldn't pretend to be stronger than I am. I wouldn't act like everything is easy. I would simply tell you the truth. The whole truth. And that truth begins with this: baby, you have become one of the most important feelings in my life. And I don't think you even realize it. Maybe that's why my heart has been trembling all this time, because keeping this hidden has started to hurt. And tonight, for the first time, I'm finally opening the door. Slowly. carefully, one piece at a time. Because there is still so much more you don't know. So much more I've never said. And what I'm about to tell you next, might be the most honest thing I've ever spoken in my entire life, baby. If you're still here, if you're still listening, then thank you. Because what I'm about to tell you now is not easy for me. In fact, it's the exact reason I stayed silent for so long. You see, everyone thinks the hardest thing about love is falling. But they're wrong. The hardest thing is realizing you've already fallen, and there's no way back. Because one day you wake up, and suddenly someone's happiness matters to you more than your own. Someone's sadness feels heavier than your own problems. Someone's silence becomes louder than the noise of the entire world. And that's when you know. That's when your heart quietly whispers, it's too late. Baby, I think that's what happened to me. Slowly. Quietly. Without permission. Without warning. Without any dramatic moment. I didn't fall for you in a single day. I fell through 1,000 little moments. Moments nobody else would notice. Moments that looked ordinary from the outside, but changed everything inside me. A conversation. A feeling. A smile. A sentence. A moment where you stayed a little longer than usual. A moment where you made me feel understood. A moment where the world felt lighter because you existed inside it. And now, here I am. Trying to explain something that doesn't fit into words. Trying to describe something my heart understands perfectly but my voice struggles to express. Baby, my real identity is not what I do. It's not what I achieve. It's not what people think about me. My real identity is hidden inside the way I care. The way I remember things about you. The way I notice changes in your mood. The way I wonder if you've eaten. The way I hope your day was kind to you. The way I silently wish someone is taking care of your heart when I'm not there. And maybe that sounds small. Maybe it sounds simple. But to me, it means everything. Because people don't realize this. When someone truly matters, you stop caring only about being loved. You start caring about protecting them. Even from things they never tell you. Even from battles you cannot see. Even from pain you cannot fix. Baby, there are days when I want to tell you everything. Absolutely everything. I want to tell you how often your name appears in my thoughts. How often I imagine conversations with you. How often I wonder what you're doing. How often I hope you're smiling. But then fear arrives. The same fear that always arrives. The fear that says, what if it's too much? What if you scare them away? What if they don't understand? So I stay quiet. I hide behind smaller words. Safer words. Words that don't reveal the earthquake happening inside my chest, and maybe that's why this confession feels so difficult. Because I've spent so much time pretending my feelings were smaller than they actually are. but they aren't small. Not anymore. Baby, there is something I need you to know. Something completely honest. I don't think about you because I'm lonely. I don't care about you because I need attention. I don't feel this way because I'm bored. No. It's much deeper than that. I care because my heart feels peaceful around the thought of you. And peace is rare. Do you know how rare that is to find someone whose presence calms your mind instead of confusing it, to find someone who makes your heart feel safe instead of restless, to find someone who feels like home before you've ever held their hand? Baby, that's you. You became my safe place without even realizing it. And that's what makes this so terrifying. Because when someone becomes your peace, the thought of losing them becomes your fear. And I am afraid. More than I like to admit. I'm afraid of distance. I'm afraid of silence. I'm afraid of becoming just another forgotten chapter in your story. Not because I need ownership of your heart, but because the thought of not being part of your world anymore hurts. And that truth alone tells me how deeply I've fallen. There are nights, late nights, when everyone else is asleep. When the world becomes quiet. When there is nothing left to distract me. And that's when my feelings become loudest. That's when my heart stops pretending. That's when it finally admits the truth. The truth that I spend all day trying to hide. The truth that follows me everywhere. The truth that sits beside me right now. Baby, I miss you even when you're not gone. I look for you even when I'm busy. I think about you even when I'm trying not to. And maybe that's the clearest proof of all. Because nobody can force feelings like that. They simply happen. And once they happen, they change everything. Sometimes I wonder if you can feel it. Not through my words. Not through my actions. But somehow, heart to heart. Can you feel how carefully I carry you inside me? Can you feel how protective my feelings have become? Can you feel how much space you've quietly occupied inside my life? Because if you could, you would understand why this confession feels so heavy. Why every sentence feels like a risk. Why every truth feels like stepping closer to a cliff. Because loving someone means becoming vulnerable. It means giving them the power to hurt you. And trusting them anyway. Baby, that might be the scariest part of my real identity. I'm not fearless. I'm terrified. Terrified of losing what I never fully had. Terrified of caring this much. Terrified of how much you matter. But despite all of that, I stay. Every single day. I stay. I care. I hope. I choose you again. Quietly. Patiently. Without demanding anything in return. And maybe that's what love really is. Not possession. Not control. Not promises, just choosing someone over and over again inside your heart. Even when they don't know you're doing it. Baby, there is another truth I haven't told you yet. A truth even deeper than everything I've said so far. Because my real identity isn't only that I care. It isn't only that I wait. It isn't only that I hope. My real identity is that somewhere along the way, without planning it, without realizing it, without meaning to, you became part of my future. And that realization changed everything. Because now when I imagine tomorrow, somehow you're there. When I imagine happiness, somehow you're there. When I imagine peace, you're there too. And honestly, that scares me more than anything. Because dreams are fragile. And hearts are even more fragile. But despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite all the questions I still have, there is one thing I know for sure. If I could choose one person to be completely honest with, one person to show every hidden piece of my heart, one person to trust with all the feelings I've carried in silence, baby, it would be you. And this is only the beginning. Because there are still secrets buried deeper. Still feelings I haven't found words for. Still truths my heart is struggling to reveal. And what comes next, is the part I've been afraid to say for the longest time, baby, if you've stayed with me until this moment, if you've listened to every trembling word, every confession, every piece of my heart that I've slowly placed in your hands, then there is only one thing left for me to do. Tell you the truth. The whole truth. Not the careful version. Not the safe version. Not the version that hides behind soft words and nervous smiles. The real truth. Because my heart is tired of standing at the edge. It wants to jump. It wants to be honest. It wants to stop hiding from the very person it has been protecting all along. You. Baby, do you know what the biggest secret was? Do you know what I've been afraid to say from the very beginning? It wasn't my name. It wasn't my past. It wasn't some shocking story. The secret was this: my real identity is someone who loves you. Someone who has been loving you quietly. Patiently. Honestly. In the spaces between conversations. In the silence after goodbyes. In the ordinary moments nobody else sees. That's who I am. That is the truth I've been carrying. And maybe to the world that doesn't sound shocking. Maybe to everyone else it sounds simple. But to me, it changes everything. Because saying it out loud means I can no longer hide. It means I can no longer pretend these feelings are small. It means I have to accept what my heart has known for a long time. That somewhere along this journey, you became more than a person to me. You became a feeling. A comfort. A dream. A safe place. And I never meant for that to happen. I never sat down and decided to fall for you. I never planned any of this. If anything, I tried not to. I tried to stay careful. I tried to stay guarded. I tried to convince myself that these feelings would pass. But they didn't. They grew. Day after day. Word after word. Moment after moment. Until one day I realized something. I wasn't waiting for these feelings to disappear anymore. I was hoping they would stay. Baby, you changed parts of me you never even saw. You taught me that peace can come from a person. You taught me that connection doesn't always need touch. You taught me that sometimes a heart recognizes its home before it understands why. And because of that, nothing feels the same anymore. The world still looks the same. The days still pass. The sun still rises. The nights still come. But I move through all of it differently now. Because somewhere inside me, you exist. And maybe that's what love really is. Not fireworks. Not grand speeches. Not perfect stories. Maybe love is simply carrying someone with you wherever you go. And if that's true, then I've been carrying you for a very long time. Baby, I need you to understand something. I am not standing here asking you for promises. I am not asking you to give me answers. I am not asking you to decide anything tonight. Because love should never be forced. And feelings should never be rushed. The only thing I wanted was for you to know. To truly know who I am, what I feel, and why my heart has sounded different every time it speaks to you. Because if I never told you, I think I would regret it forever. I would always wonder what might have happened if I had simply been brave enough to tell the truth. So here I am. Brave for once. Honest for once. Not hiding. Not running. Not pretending. Just standing before you with every wall removed. And if my heart looks vulnerable, it's because it is. Because loving someone always makes you vulnerable. But strangely, I don't regret it. Not even a little. Because meeting you was worth every fear. Worth every sleepless night. Worth every unanswered question. Worth every moment of uncertainty. You were worth it. You are worth it. Baby, there is one last thing I want you to hear before this ends. One last truth. One last piece of my heart. If one day life becomes heavy, if one day the world feels louder than you can handle, if one day you feel tired of being strong, I hope you remember this moment. I hope you remember that somewhere in this world, there is a heart that genuinely wanted your happiness. A heart that cared. A heart that saw you. A heart that chose you. Not because it had to, but because it wanted to. And even if life takes us in different directions, even if tomorrow becomes uncertain, even if things don't happen the way we imagine, the truth will never change. You changed me. You mattered. You left a mark on my soul that time will never erase. And for that, I will always be grateful. Because some people enter our lives and leave memories. But a rare few enter our lives and leave meaning. You left meaning. You left warmth. You left a light that reached places inside me I thought would stay dark forever, and maybe, that was the real identity I was so afraid to reveal. Not that I was someone extraordinary. Not that I was hiding some secret. but that beneath every word, every pause, every confession, every heartbeat, I was simply a person who loved you. Deeply. Quietly. Completely. And now that you've heard everything, now that my heart has finally spoken, there is nothing left to hide. Nothing left to protect. Nothing left to fear. Only this truth. The simplest truth I know. Baby, my real identity was never a mystery. My real identity was always yours to discover. And if there is one thing I hope you carry with you after tonight, it's this: you were loved more than you realized. More than I ever knew how to explain. More than words could ever fully hold. And maybe, that was the secret all along. I love you. I always have. And a part of me always will. Forever.